and the court makes a decision.
So whose best interest is it to stretch this thing out until June 3rd, until there's some sort of, ultimate verdict?
I would go with the owners because, again, they can hold out longer. And the players, you have to remember, it's not just the money. It's when they're getting out of condition. If those guys aren't training, that's going to hurt their career. Somebody's going to knock them off. And the more they miss, they may never get back to that condition. Not to mention that most of them have short lifespans to begin with.
Yeah, and one of the things, too, we touched upon this just the other night on this show, and that is that one of the things that the NFL has always strived for is an even playing field. And they really kind of had that. But I think as long as the strike goes on, and the further it goes on, teams like your old team, like the San Francisco 49ers, are kind of on the low end of the stick here because they got new owners, new management, new players. They got to make trades. They got to make changes. A team like the New England Patriots, on the other hand, they can pretty much play the hand they have.
We could look at the macro of this labor arm wrestle, but let's look locally. I mean, the Raiders showed some life last year. They have to get back on the field. They have some enthusiasm. The Niners with Jim Harbaugh, it's important for him to install his new offense and answer the question, will Alex Smith be the quarterback for the next 6 years? And more importantly, the stadium financing for the Niners to keep on track for 2015 is really important because league finances play in this. And you can't sell anything when your team isn't playing football.
And the Raiders go in there and say, all employees have to be salesmen now. So, they're really getting into it.
Exactly.
That's the Raiders.
Yeah. I was just about to bring that up. They said everybody in the front office is now in the ticket-selling business.
Can you see this in Piedmont tonight? Honey, there's a guy at the door. He says his name is Al Davis. He's here. He wants to talk to us about 2 seasons.
He's a nice man with a walker, and he's got, But, yeah.
He moves back and forth between here and the South. He's back now.
And Miami, of course, they're laying off employees in Miami, too. So here we are talking about the billionaires and the millionaires, and you bring up the thousandaires, and that's the paying public, the buying public, the people who are going to the games, and the people who are working for these teams are starting to feel the bite now.
Yeah, they really are, because it employs a lot of people, and it's one thing for guys to hold out, but you have the thousandaires and the hundredaires that are really working those games, and it's really meaningful. And that's what's putting food on the table, and it's hurting him. It's hurting the guy that doesn't have the reserves to sit back.
At game day, you will employ close to 1,000 people, at Candlestick and at the Coliseum, the Overstock.com Coliseum near Oracle Arena. And those people aren't going to get paid. They're not going to get their tips. That's where this starts to hurt.
Does anybody know where I doubt that anybody does, where we really are? Are we at the point of crossing T's and dotting I's, or is there this giant chasm between the two sides?
I think there's some basic differences. Things we're taking a look. The big issues here are, one, how do we split the pie? The owners say, you know what, we should have more, and the players are saying, you know what, we need more control over our lives. Hey, there's free agency rules? Come on. So I see them right now as a huge difference. The parties are far apart right now. It's not like they're close and, okay, boys, let's flip a coin so it's not a macho thing. I think they're far apart.
But the thing is, Andy, I mean, we talk about this is a pretty good-sized pie we're talking about here.
Oh, this is a pizza pie with mushrooms, sausage, and every topping.
Don't forget the anchovies.
Don't forget the anchovies. Some people hate the anchovies. And you should be able to split this up and make everybody happy.
So in the end, and of course none of us is an expert, you're the legal expert, but in terms of how this will all end, what do you see?
Well, eventually we'll probably have a football season, and what I see is that both parties are pushing. They're going to push to the max and see what they can do. In the end, business principles will prevail, and that's what's going to happen. And what's going to happen with the owners, some guys will put pressure on the guys that maybe have the even extra big egos. Say, look, you're kind of hurting all of us. Same with the players. It's, look, you're taking food away from me. Or also some guy says, you know what, you're a little out of shape and I'm going to knock you off unless you get back.
About 15 seconds,
I'd be so bold as to say that $1 billion that the owners needed back before they broke apart, I would say they'll settle within 15% of where they were the day they decided not to be together.
Yeah, I think
15% is a good number.
It just all depends. I think they could both be considered winners, or they could both be considered losers. That's a wrap for Chronicle Live. For me, Greg Papa will be back tomorrow. Thanks to all our guests. Don't go away. Sportsnet Central coming up.